So I think everyone knows that Glastonbury took place this last weekend. UK native, guilty. And I want to talk a little bit about the narratives that were spawned around that and what happened on different corners of the internet, because I think it's really interesting. Um, Glastonbury is this traditional eclectic mix of pop, fashion, politics, etc. There's almost always politics at Glastonbury. But it was one act in particular that grabbed the spotlight, and it wasn't the one that everyone was expecting. So you probably know, if you're listening to this, the Irish rap trio Kneecap had really dominated the headlines in the lead up to the festival. So they're very pro-Palestine, very vocally pro-Palestine. One of the members had been remanded on terrorism charges in London for holding up a Hezbollah flag at a concert. And it had been suggested that they should be banned from the festival. Prime Minister Keir Starmer came out and said as much, that he didn't think it was appropriate for them to be playing. So much of the coverage before the festival was about them. But in the end, it was actually a different act. Bob Vylan, a duo from London, from the UK, I don't know if they're from London, that ended up getting more attention. So we have this new AI agent feature looking at live issues, and this is triggered by the Bob Vylan stuff. And you can see here just how much of the coverage was dominated by the duo. So they led anti-IDF chants, Free Palestine chants, and 37% of the articles about Glastonbury in the time period after the 24 hours after Bob Vylan's set were about their comments, and 53% of all the engagements with those articles were about their comments as well. So it's a really big deal, and it did go on to have real world consequences for the duo, who were dropped by UTA, their agency, and had their US visas revoked, meaning they can't go on tour in the US. So that's really interesting how that came to dominate. It is also fascinating to me how, if you're in a different corner of the internet, you can just not see any of that stuff. So we do the social busting your social bubble content every morning. Like, this is exactly that. Like, the Facebook posts that resonated the most were Lewis Capaldi coming back after some health issues that he'd had. Like, almost all of the top Facebook posts were about that. And on Instagram, all of the top posts were thank you posts from the artists themselves. So people like Olivia Rodrigo, Charli XCX, and Gracie Abrams. Like, if you're in that corner of the internet, you might never see any of this stuff. So it's just another example of, the pick and choose nature of media diets in 2025, and platforms just having vastly different prevailing narratives depending on where you look, which I think is really interesting. If you like this stuff, we do write a newsletter every week. I write stuff like this every week, so you can go check it out there. Or I'll probably start doing summaries, because I think it's interesting to get out in a different way.